He doesn't want to be a part of a thumbnail. I don't think Finn's gonna be in it. Perfect for fans of Netflix's The Haunting of Hill House, which is one of my absolute favorites. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and happy Bookmas! So as you can tell, I have been posting videos every single day to do either Bookmas or Vlogmas type videos on my channel. So I hope you're very excited for them because I am as well. But we are going to be going over my mystery thriller bingo board for the year of 2026. This was a challenge that was created by Alexis Fully Booked, and honestly, I've been so excited for it. Thriller books are some of my absolute favorites to go and read, and I have quite a few of them, so I kind of had the pick of my bookshelves to go and see which ones would go and fit for every single prompt. Thus why I have just like this huge wall of books on the floor in front of me, which you can't obviously see. And I'm so excited to go over all of these. So with that being said, let's hop right into it. All right, so starting off with the first prompt on the first row, we have BIPOC author. So the book that I'm gonna go with is Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. I started reading S.A. Cosby this year, and he's definitely an author that I want to go and read more books from, and I've had this one on my shelf for a little bit. And for each of these books, I'll give you a little bit of a synopsis and read the first couple of sentences on the back of the book in case if this is one that you're interested in and would like to add it to your own bingo board as well. Ike Randolph has been out of jail for 15 years with not so much as a speeding ticket in all that time, but a black man with cops at the door knows to be afraid. The last thing he expects to hear is that his son, Isaiah, has been murdered, along with Isaiah's white husband, Derek. Ike had never fully accepted Isaiah, but is devastated by his loss. Derek's father, Buddy Lee, had a similar relationship with his son, but he can't rest until he knows who killed them. I've heard nothing but good things about this book, and I really love S.A. Cosby, so I'm excited to go and finally read another book by this author, and yeah, that's why I went and put it on the bingo board, because this was an author that I automatically thought of when I read BIPOC author as one of the prompts. Next one is House on the Cover, and I decided to go with Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey. This is one that I keep getting mixed up with a different book, which I think is September House. I don't know why, but I just get those two mixed up so often. But I have really been wanting to read this one, and so this was right away a book that I wanted to pick for this prompt. So it says, Just Like Home is a darkly gothic thriller from nationally best-selling author Sarah Gailey, perfect for fans of Netflix's The Haunting of Hill House, which is one of my absolute favorites, as well as HBO's true crime masterpiece, All Be Gone in the Dark. Come home, Vera's mother called, and Vera obeyed. In spite of their long estrangement, in spite of the memories, she's come back to the home of a serial killer, back to face the love she had for her father and the bodies he buried there. I'm so excited for this. Automatically, when it says that it is similar to Haunting of Hill House, sign me up. I'm ready for it. That was one of my favorite shows on Netflix, and I've probably watched it 100 times at this point. So the next one is Hidden Identity or Past. I believe this one has to kind of have a lot of secrets involved in it. So I decided to go with The Midnight Knock by John Fram. This is one that I got as an ARC from Atria, and I've been really wanting to read it, but I just haven't had the chance to pick it up. So right away I was like, all right, we're gonna go and see if we can fit this one into the mystery thriller bingo board. In the frigid West Texas desert, weary travelers converge at a lonely roadside motel, nestled at the foot of a massive mountain. Ethan and Hunter have left behind a corpse, a fire, and a horrific act of violence. Kayla and Fernanda are fleeing for the border. Stanley and his granddaughter are returning from Mexico with a mysterious man in hot pursuit. All of them are on the run from something. All of them are hiding something. I am just so curious about this book. Ever since I got it from Atria, I was like, I need to find a chance to go and sneak this one in. So this is the one that I'm thinking for this prompt, but it also does involve a hotel, so you could also use this one for the house prompt as well. I know Alexis was being very flexible with a lot of these prompts, so there is a chance that I can go and mix them around on the board, especially if I forget which one I had intended to put for each prompt. They might be mixed and matched, I'm not sure. Then the next one we have is Revenge, and I have Kill for Me, Kill for You by Steve Kavanaugh, and I've been really wanting to go and pick this one up. I know that a lot of people were talking about it for quite some time. She will kill your worst enemy. All you have to do is kill hers. One dark evening on New York City's Upper West Side, two strangers meet by chance. Over drinks, Amanda and Wendy realize they have much in common, especially loneliness and the intense desire for revenge against the men who destroyed their families. As they talk into the night, they come up with a perfect plan. If you kill for me, I'll kill for you. I honestly love revenge plots, especially with TV shows. Like, one of my favorite TV shows that was out, I forgot how many years ago, was Revenge. I absolutely loved that one. They're just some really enjoyable reads for me because I always love to see how the main character's thought process goes and works for achieving their goal in the end. So I am curious to see how this one goes. It sounds like a very intriguing premise, especially since it involves two people that are helping each other achieve their revenge. Then the last one on this row is 2+ point of views. And I decided to go with a guest list by Lucy Foley. I have not read a Lucy Foley book, I'm not sure ever, although I have a lot of her books on my shelves. And Alexis said that a lot of this author's books tend to have more than one point of view. So right away I was like, this is one that I've been wanting to read, so let's use it for this prompt. It says, an exclusive wedding on a remote Irish island. The bride, the plus one, the best man, the wedding planner, the bridesmaid. All have a secret, all have a motive, but only one is a murderer. This sounds so good, and it's kind of funny because you'll probably see this later, but a lot of books that I have picked out involve like a husband and wife or a wedding or something like that, and it's kind of funny because my wedding is next year, so I don't know what that says about me that I have a lot of books with those kind of themes, but I don't know. On to the next row, we have Small Town. And the book I decided to pick is One Dark Night by Hannah Rochelle. And this is another book that I got from Atria as well. With this bingo board, I realized that I have a lot of mystery thrillers that I've received from publishing programs, and I've been really wanting to go and pick them up, but just haven't had the chance. So this gives me a great excuse and reason to finally read a lot of these books that have just been honestly staring me down. And with a lot of these books that I've received as ARCs, I do have a video where I go and talk about how you're able to go and get in these programs and my experience. So I will link that down below as well if that's something that you'd like to learn more about. When a body is found the day after Halloween, a small British community must reckon with its past and the dangers lurking in its present, in the spine-tingling novel from Not to be Missed author Hannah Rochelle. On Halloween, a group of teenage students meet in the woods near Sally in the Wood, a road steeped in local lore and rumored to be haunted by the ghost of a murdered girl. By the end of the night, one student will be dead. I haven't really heard too many people talk about this book, and I am really curious to go and check this one out. This would have been great to go and read during October just because of the Halloween mention in it, but unfortunately that just didn't happen for me. But since this is a year-long bingo, I could always read it next October, so we'll see. Then the next spot is a 2026 release, and like I was mentioning, I do have a bunch of different ARCs that I received from publisher programs, and right away I went and looked and I realized that this is one that comes out next year, and that is Good Intentions by Marissa Walls. And this one says it's for fans of psychological suspense, and right away that had me hooked. One thing about me, if you just want a little bit of Rochelle lore, is that I really started getting into a lot of horror type of things by reading psychological thrillers. That kind of opened the door for me, and then I started reading other thrillers and then went into horror, and so that was just the setting stone that paved the way into my love of everything creepy, I guess, even though I was a psych major in college, so that could also be attributed to my obsession with this type of stuff. But anyway, this says Katie has it all: a thriving luxury event planning business, a packed social calendar, and the man she's loved since she was 17. And most importantly, she has Dana, her identical twin, her mirror, her closest bond, until the day she doesn't. When Katie gets a call that Dana has been in a serious accident and arrives moments too late to say goodbye, her world shatters. But it's not just the loss that consumes her, it's also Morgan, a grieving mother Katie notices in the hospital waiting room the day her sister dies. This sounds pretty intense and very emotional, but I'm so excited for it. I love psychological thrillers so much. Those are just some of my absolute favorites. Even with TV shows and movies, I just eat them up so quickly. So I have a feeling that this is just going to be a book that I fly through. Then we have Dual Timelines, and I went with The Wasp Trap by Mark Edwards. This one does have a dual timeline. It seems like it's in present day and also does flashbacks to the past. So this one I am really curious about as well. I was kind of back and forth on which prompt I wanted to put this one for. There's another one on the board that's Eat the Rich, and I was intrigued to possibly put this one on there, but I wasn't quite sure if it had Richie Rich type of stuff. So the dual timeline is the one that I felt would fit best for this. 6 friends reunite in London to celebrate the life of their recently deceased ex-employer, a professor who brought them together in 1999 to help build a dating website based on psychological testing. But what is meant to be a night of bittersweet nostalgia soon becomes a twisted and deadly game. The old friends are given an ultimatum: reveal their darkest secrets to the group, or pick each other off one by one. This sounds so intense, and I can't wait to go and start reading this one. I know I keep saying that I got a lot of books from publishing programs, and this was another one that I received from Atria as well. But when I was looking through my books, I just couldn't resist picking up a lot of these because they just sound so good. And like I said, I've been so lucky to get so many interesting thrillers, but I haven't had the chance to go and pick them up, so it just gives me a great excuse with this bingo board. It's Eat the Rich, and I decided to go with their Vicious Games by Joelle Wellington. This was one that I picked up when we went to Second and Charles. I think when it was for the penny a page day, but I'm not 100% sure. I've been really wanting to go and read this one as well. It's been on my radar for the past year, I want to say. And so when I read a little bit of the back of this one, I felt like this could work for Eat the Rich. You must work twice as hard to get half as much. Adina Walker has known this the entire time she's been on scholarship at the prestigious Edgewater Academy, a school for the uber rich and mostly white New England upper class. It's why she works so hard to be perfect, above reproach no matter what she has to force under the surface. Even one slip can cost her everything. And it does. One fight, one moment of loss leaves Adina blacklisted from her top choice Ivy League college and any other. Her only chance to regain the future she sacrificed everything for is the finish, a high-stakes contest sponsored by Edgewater's founding family, in which 12 young, ambitious women with exceptional promise are selected to compete in 3 mysterious events: the Ride, the Raid, and the Royal. So you see from a little bit of the description on the back of the book, it does sound like it's kind of involving a lot of uber rich characters. So I'm hoping that this kind of works for the Eat the Rich prompt. This is also a BIPOC author as well, and I really wanted to include more BIPOC authors aside from just the one for that main prompt. The last one on this row is A Big Event, so I decided to go with The Last One at the Wedding by Jason Recolleck. I've only read one book by this author so far, and I really enjoyed it so much. So I've been really wanting to go and read another book by this author just because the way they went and wrote was so interesting. I just couldn't figure out what was going to happen next. So this one feels like a great one for this prompt, and also shows that I have another wedding pick on this bingo board. We'll see how many we get at the end of this video. If you're counting and you have a number at the end, definitely let me know in the comments. It's been 3 years since Frank Satowski last heard from his daughter, and he's devastated by their long, unhappy estrangement. But then an unexpected phone call from Maggie changes everything. She says she's getting married, and she wants her father to walk her down the aisle. Frank is overjoyed by the news. Here at last is a chance for reconciliation, a perfect opportunity to repair their fractured relationship. But a disturbing discovery about his future son-in-law leaves Frank to wonder if Maggie is making a terrible mistake. I am so ready and excited to go and read this. Like I said, I've only read one book by this author so far, but I really, really loved it. So I'm excited to go and start reading more by them. Moving on to the next row. This prompt was easy for me to go and do because I didn't start getting back into reading until last year. So there's a ton of authors that I haven't read any of their books for yet. So the one that I decided I was going to pick for this one was Stay Awake by Megan Golden. I believe this was a book that I got from one of my book besties, Once Upon a Bookish Steph. And when she was going and talking about this book, I was like, yeah, this is one that I really want to read because it seems like it has a little bit of horror as well as thriller involved in it, which automatically signed me right up. A murder she doesn't remember committing, a killer she doesn't remember meeting. Megan Golden's Stay Awake is an electrifying novel that proves memory can be deadly. Liv Reese wakes up in the back of a taxi with no idea where she is or how she got there. When she's dropped off at the door of her brownstone, a stranger answers, a stranger who claims to live in her apartment. She reaches for her phone to call for help, only to discover it's missing. In its place is a blood-stained knife. Her hands are covered in scribbled messages, like graffiti on her skin. Stay awake. I am so excited for this one. I feel like memory loss type of stories are some of the most exciting because along with the main character, you're also trying to figure out what exactly is going on and piece things together. And it just kind of feels like one of those things like you're both in this together. So I can't wait to go and see what happens in this one. We have Missing Person, and honestly, this one was really easy. And looking at a lot of the books that I've already mentioned, and also if you're sticking around to go and see any of the other ones I talk about, probably any of these could go and fit for this prompt, but the book that I decided to pick was I Found You by Lisa Jewell. This is one that I mentioned in an unboxing publisher book mail video, and a lot of people in my comments were also talking about how intrigued they were for this one, and I really want to pick this one up. There's a lot of other Lisa Jewell books I'd really like to read, but I think I'm gonna go with this one first. So it says, in the windswept British seaside town of Ridinghouse Bay, single mom Alice Lake finds a man sitting on the beach. He has no name and no idea how he got there. Meanwhile, in a London suburb, newlywed Lily Monrose grows anxious when her husband fails to return home from work. But the police soon deliver even more disturbing news. The man she married never truly existed. I'm so curious. I want to know what happens, what's going on here. And it's such a thin book that I feel like I'm just gonna go and fly through this one. Then we go to the middle of the board, which is You Predicted the Ending, and this is a free space. Now, obviously, I'm not gonna know which book will go and fit this until I go and read and get something that will obviously fit this prompt, but I decided to go and guess and pick a book, and the one that I'm just gonna go with and maybe see if I can go and predict is going to be One Perfect Couple by Ruth Ware. This is one that I've been really curious to go and read as well, and I believe it involves an island and some sort of tragedy happening, which is always a type of book that really intrigues me. I love survivor type of books, apocalyptic stuff, anything like that where people really have to struggle to survive. So this one might be one that I instantly love. Lila is in a bit of a rut. Her postdoctoral research has fizzled out. She's pretty sure they won't extend her contract, and things with her boyfriend Nico, an aspiring actor, aren't going great. When the opportunity arises for Nico to join the cast of a new reality TV show, One Perfect Couple, she decides to try out with him. A whirlwind audition process later, Lila finds herself whisked off to a tropical paradise with Nico boating through the Indian Ocean toward Ever After Island, where the two of them will compete against 4 other couples, Bayer and Angel, Dan and Santana, Joel and Romy, and Connor and Zaina, in order to win a cash prize. But not long after they arrive on the deserted island, things start to go wrong. I feel like with books that tend to have this premise, they're usually ones that I can go and figure out what happens in the end. So that's why I'm guessing that this will be a book that I can go and choose for this prompt and that I'll be able to easily predict. Then we have detective character, and I decided to go with Wildwood by Amy Peace. And I didn't realize that this is actually the second book and the first one is Northwood. So I kind of have a little goal for myself that I'm going to go and read the first book before the year is over and then start this one in the year of 2026. This book also comes out on my birthday, which is January 6th. So I really wanted to pick this one just because of that reason. but it also involves a detective. But I don't think I'm gonna go and read the back of the book just because I don't want any refreshers for my memory, just because this is a second book in the series. Then the last prompt on this row is a friend rec, so this is going to be a book that a friend recommended you, and I'm gonna go with Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier, one person that I first started watching on TikTok and now also has a booktube channel as well, is Brie. I'll include her information here, but she is one of my favorite people to go for thriller recommendations. She has never failed me wrong, and any book she recommends is usually one that I absolutely love and devour through. And I remember this is one that she recommended a long time ago, and so I really wanted to read this one. It says, how far will someone go to bury their secrets? Angela Wong, one of the most popular girls in school, disappeared without a trace. Nobody heard from her again, not her best friend, Georgina Shaw, and not Kaiser Brody, who was close with both girls. 14 years later, Angela's remains are discovered in the woods near Gio's childhood home. Kaiser, now a detective with Seattle PD, finally learns the truth. Angela was a victim of Calvin James. To the authorities, Calvin is a serial killer, but back in high school, he was Gio's first love. Turbulent and volatile, their relationship bordered on obsession from the moment they met up until the night Angela was killed. I'm so curious for this one. I've kind of been holding it on my shelves and always forget about picking it up to read it, so that is why automatically I was like, I know Brie talked about this one, I can use it for a friend recommendation on this board. Moving on to the next row, we have Isolated Setting, and I decided to go with Gray After Dark by Noelle W. Hilly. I don't know if I'm saying that last name right, but I believe this was a book that my friend Curious Cat actually gave me last year for my birthday, and I keep forgetting to go and pick it up, but I've wanted to read it so badly, and this one has an isolated setting, so I was like, check, this one will work. So, a merciless wilderness, a harrowing attack, a desperate escape. When a tragic accident sidelines Miley's dreams of Olympic gold, she takes a summer job at a mountain guest lodge. The Frank Church wilderness is remote, but it's the perfect place to train and recover. Local lore about a staffer who died years ago doesn't scare her, but it should. I'm so excited to read this one. Well, I was gonna peel off the sticker, but that's not gonna happen. So the next prompt is girl or woman in the title, and I decided to go with Where Sleeping Girls Lie. I forgot to look up the author's name to pronounce it correctly, so I'm not going to butcher it, but here you go. I've also had this book on my radar, and I have been wanting to read this as well. So this one works perfectly because Alexis did say that you could use like the plural of the word, so having girls totally works and fits for this prompt. It's like I keep stumbling into a dark room, searching for the switch to make things bright again. Sade is starting her 3rd year of high school, this time at the prestigious Alfred Nobel Academy boarding school after being homeschooled. Misfortune has been a constant companion throughout her life, but even Sade doesn't expect her new roommate Elizabeth to disappear after Sade's first night, or for people to think she had something to do with it. With rumors swirling around her, Sade catches the attention of the girls collectively known as the Unholy Trinity, and they bring her into their fold. Between learning more about them, especially Persephone, who Sade is inexplicably drawn to and playing catch-up in class, Sade already has so much on her plate. But when it seems people don't care enough about what happened to Elizabeth, it's up to her and Elizabeth's best friend, Baz, to investigate. I'm really excited to go and check this one out. I feel like not too many people have talked about this book, so I don't really have any prior ideas going into it, aside from the fact that I believe some people mentioned that there are triggers in this, so I will have to go and check how I'm feeling before I pick it up. And I think there's some sleuthing involved in this, so this is a book that I could easily go and switch to another place on the board, and that is something I like with a lot of the books that I picked. I feel like it's really easy to go and mix and match and mix them up depending on what feels right and what I end up reading right away. Then the next prompt is Cold Case, and I have Keep This For Me by Jennifer Fawcett. This was a book that I also received from Atria, and I have been really interested to go and read it. So it says, in this exhilarating and atmospheric suspense novel, a woman attempts to uncover the connection between a notorious serial killer and her mother's disappearance, a mystery that spanned generations and returned to haunt her once again. This sounds so intense and I'm very curious to see what it's all about. No one I know has read this book either, so I'm very excited to go and start it. Then we have LGBTQ+, and I don't think it's a requirement that the author needs to also be a part of this community, but the book that I picked would count for both pieces, and that is We Came to Welcome You by Vincent Tirado. And I've been really wanting to read this one. It says Dream House Nightmare Neighbors. I actually, when we first moved into this house, I think that was around when this book first came out, and I was like, it would kind of be fun to go and read this, but also kind of bad because it would make me a little bit paranoid for our new neighbors. So obviously I didn't read it, but this one says Where Beauty Lies, Secrets Are Held, Ugly Ones. Sol Reyes has had a rough year. After a series of workplace incidents at her university lab culminates in a plagiarism accusation, Sol is put on probation. Dutiful visits to her homophobic father aren't helping her mental health, and she finds her nightly glass of wine becoming more of an all-day and all-bottle event. Her wife, Alice Song, is far more optimistic. After all, the two finally managed to buy a house in the beautiful gated community of Mainless Grove. However, the neighbors are a little too friendly, in Sol's opinion. She has no interest in the pushy homeowners association, their bizarrely detailed contract, or their never-ending microaggressions. But Alice simply attributes their pursuit to the community motto, invest in a neighborly spirit, which only serves to irritate Sol more. I am so excited and curious to check this one out. Like I said, this was a book I wanted to pick up so badly when we first moved into this house, but it just didn't happen. So I'm excited that I'll finally get the chance to read it now because it works perfectly for the spot on the board. Last spot on this row is The Killer Is Back, and I did have to kind of pull from Alexis's video just to go and get some ideas because I was looking through my shelf and it could already be that I picked a book that would work for this prompt, but it could be that I have a book already that fits for this spot and I already used it on a different spot on the board. But I decided to go with Alexis's recommendation, which was A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. This one is one that I totally forgot that I had, but I had picked up from a past order from Book Outlet, and I'm so glad that it works for this prompt. When Chloe Davis was 12, 6 teenage girls went missing in her small Louisiana town. By the end of the summer, her own father had confessed to the crimes and was put away for life, leaving Chloe and the rest of her family to grapple with the truth and try to move forward while dealing with the aftermath. Now, 20 years later, Chloe is a psychologist in Baton Rouge and getting ready for her wedding. While she finally has a fragile grasp on the happiness she's worked so hard to achieve, she sometimes feels as out of control of her life as the troubled teens who are her patients. So when a local teenage girl goes missing, and then another, that terrifying summer comes crashing back. Is she paranoid seeing parallels from her past that aren't actually there? Or for the second time in her life, is Chloe about to unmask a killer? I feel like I have heard people talk about this book before and it kind of had mixed reviews, so I'm excited to finally read it and see how I feel about it. Then we're on the last row on this board, and the first one on this row is Amateur Sleuth Main Character. I decided to pick up The Girls Who Disappeared by Claire Douglas, and this one says, in a rural Wiltshire town lives the Devil's Corridor, a haunted road that has witnessed eerie happenings from unexplained deaths to the sounds of a child crying in the night. In this bucolic stretch of southwest England, famous for its otherworldly sights, nothing is more puzzling than the Olivia Rutherford case. 4 girls were driving home. After their car crashed, only one, Olivia, was found. What happened to the girls who disappeared? On the 20th anniversary of the tragedy, journalist Jenna Holliday has arrived in Wiltshire to cover the case. The locals aren't happy with this outsider, determined to dig into the past. Least of all, Olivia. This one sounds really interesting. It also seems like it has maybe some paranormal horror vibes involved in it, but also a small town as well. So this could also fit for multiple prompts, but this is the one that I'm kind of thinking for the amateur sleuth, since our main character seems to be a journalist. Then the next one is Serial Killer Point of View, and I had to really go and look around for books that I haven't read already, and this one kind of seems like it has a little bit of that involved, and that is They Never Learn by Lane Fargo. I know Alexis was going and saying that this this book could be used for the LGBTQ plus prompt, but I think I'm going to use it for this one because it says Scarlett Clark is an exceptional English professor, but she's even better at getting away with murder. See, it kind of seems like it could work for this. So every year, Dr. Clark searches for the worst man at Gorman University and plots his demise. Thanks to her planning, she's avoided drawing attention to herself, but as she's preparing for her biggest kill yet, the school starts probing into the body count on campus. Determined to keep her enemies close, Scarlett insinuates herself into the investigation. Everything's going according to her master plan until she loses control with her latest victim. I'm so excited to check this one out. Once Upon a Bookish Steph actually got this book for me for my birthday last year, so I've been meaning to read it and just haven't had the chance either. I think there also are trigger warnings in this book too, which is another reason why I probably haven't picked it up yet, because I really want to be perceptive of how I'm feeling in that moment before I pick up a book that could have one of my triggers involved. Podcast, and the book that I picked for this prompt is one that I'm not entirely sure if it could work, but I do have a backup book just in case this one doesn't work. But the one that I'm originally thinking is When She Was Me by Marley Bush. And it says, ever since that night, twin sisters Cassie and Lenora have been inseparable. As the sole permanent residents of Cabin 2, their refuge on an isolated Tennessee campground, they manage to stay away from prying eyes, probing questions, and true crime junkies. Just the two of them, Cassie and Lenora, against the world. The peace and quiet is almost enough to make them forget what happened all those years ago. Almost. So because it kind of has true crime junkies and things like that, I am thinking that maybe there's a podcast mentioned in this book. I also did do a search and it popped up as well, but since I'm not entirely sure if this book could work for the prompt, I do have another one. And the other book that I'm thinking is Tell Me What You Did by Carter Wilson, and I do know this one would work 100% for this prompt. So it says, she gets people to confess their crimes for a living. He knows she's hiding a terrible secret. It's time for the truth to come out. Poe Webb, host of a popular true crime podcast, invites people to anonymously confess crimes they've committed to her audience. She can't guarantee the police won't come after her guests, but her show grants simultaneous anonymity and instant fame, a potent combination that's proven difficult to resist. After an episode recording, Poe usually erases both criminal and crime from her mind. But when a strange and oddly familiar man appears on her show, Poe is forced to take a second look, not only because he claims to be her mother's murderer from years ago, but because Poe knows something no one else does. Her mother's murderer is dead. Poe killed him. I am so curious about this one. This was another book that Brie actually mentioned and gave raving reviews for, but Carter Wilson is also an author that is native to Colorado as well, and I have been really wanting to go and read more books by authors in my state, and I read Mr. Tender's Girls by this author years and years ago. I also got another book by this author signed and haven't had the chance to read it, so I would love to go and dive into more of his books as well, and he's a great thriller author too, so yeah, this book would be amazing for this prompt as well. Now we have 2 more spots left on the board, and then I need to charge my camera because it's getting low, but I think we can do it. So second to last spot is The Husband Did It, and I decided to go with A Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. I've wanted to read this book for the longest time, especially because the second book came out not too long ago, and it says right away on the cover, his mistress is dead, his wife is his only hope. And I know with this prompt it has to be one where it seems like the husband is guilty or the husband did it, and right away from that you can tell. So Sarah Morgan is one of the best criminal defense attorneys in Washington, D.C. With a perfect case record and having made named partner before the age of 35, her life is going exactly as she planned. However, the same cannot be said for her husband, Adam, a failed author who's grown to resent his wife's meteoric? I'm not sure. Success, as he feels it's come at the expense of their relationship. For almost 2 years, Adam has kept his affair with Kelly Summers a secret, but everything changes when her body is discovered at the couple's lake house and Adam is arrested on suspicion of murder. I really want to read this book. I have the second book and they've just been staring me down because I have them facing out where you can see the blood splatter. So I'm going to pick up this book next year 100%, and it fits for the board, but also is another thing that involves marriage or weddings, so Then very last spot on the board is Unreliable Narrator, and I decided to go with Count My Lies by Sophie Stava. I haven't heard too many people talk about this book aside from Brie, and I feel like considering it involves a lot in lies, this seems like something that is very much an unreliable narrator, so let's go and read a little bit of what this book is about. I'm here to help. I'm your friend. You can trust me. Sloane Caraway is a liar, harmless lies mostly, to make her self-proclaimed sad little life a bit more interesting. So when Sloane sees a young girl in tears at a park one afternoon, she can't help herself. She tells the girl's very attractive dad she's a nurse, and helps him pull a bee stinger from the child's foot. With this lie and chance encounter, Sloane becomes the nanny for the wealthy and privileged household of Jay and Violet Lockhart, the perfect New York couple with a brownstone, a daughter in private school, and summers on Block Island. And with that, those are all the books that I'm considering reading for the mystery thriller bingo board. This is probably one that I'm so excited for because aside from the horror bingo board that Sarah made, this is another one that is right up my alley, includes a lot of books that I really love diving into and just have the hardest time putting them down until I finish the book and know how it ends. So I'm excited for this one. I feel like this is going to be something that is 100% doable for me to do and will really help me achieve my reading goal next year because I would like to try to get through 100 books again. That is just going to be my goal for every single year. With this bingo board as well as the one that Sarah made, I think this will be 100% doable for me to at least make a really good dent because there are a lot of books I need to read for each. But if you're also doing this bingo board, definitely let me know down in the comments below if you have read any of these books and you think that it should be one that I pick up right away as soon as 2026 starts. Definitely let me know as well because I am so excited. And just as a reminder, I am doing Bookmas and also Vlogmas for the month of December, so definitely keep an eye out for the next video on my channel, and I will see you then. But as always, I always wrap up my videos with this reminder that you need to always remember that you are worthy and capable of amazing things. Bye, friends. Showing your booty. You're showing your booty. There we go. Finn, 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 Finn. Finn is playing with my tea down there. Nuggy! Hi, Nugs. Hi, baby. She's not happy because I kind of have a book barricade on the ground right now. As soon as 2020